Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Watch and Learn course, Is Your Building Fully Digital? Why You Need to Be Sure. My name is Janelle Penny. I'm the Editor-in-Chief with Buildings, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to this course today. I'd like to begin today by thanking our partner, ARC Facilities. Please be sure to visit their website to learn more. We encourage you to ask questions during the presentation. If you'd like to ask a question, just click on the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. You can submit questions at any time, but most questions will be answered at the end of the presentation during the Q&A session. If you experience any technical or audio difficulties during this broadcast, please send a message in the Q&A box or contact us at 1-800-553-8878. And as an important reminder, you can also access a copy of today's presentation slides on the Resources tab on the course page on our website. On behalf of StayMates Communications Incorporated and Buildings, we're pleased to announce today's course is worth 1 hour of general credit with the AIA for continued education. Here you can find our provider number as well as the course number. It's also approved for 1 CPD credit from BOMI International for RPA, FMA, or SMA designation programs, as well as 1 maintenance point toward credential maintenance with BOC. Following the course today, you'll be redirected to the Buildings Education site where you can submit for credit. You must be present for the entire course to gain credit. And now I'm pleased to introduce today's presenter, David Trask. David is the National Director at ARC Facilities. He has presented at numerous facilities associations and conferences across the U.S. and Canada with a focus on helping organizations, hospitals, universities, and school districts better manage their information, be more productive, and reduce risk. With years of experience in the built environment, he shares best practices for leveraging innovative technology that drives efficiency. He's also a member of the IFMA.org Education Committee. And with that, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our speaker. Welcome, David.
Hey, thank you so much, and thanks for everybody for joining us today. So what we're going to do is just jump right in. So is your building fully digital? Ask yourself that. Is my building fully digital? Can my facilities team access everything they need to do their job digitally? And why it's so important that you're sure. So let's jump in. So the changing role of facilities managers includes a few things. Increasingly, facilities managers are called in for emergencies. So think about all the times your phone rings. You know, it could be in the middle of the day or the middle of the night. Your phone is constantly ringing. It could be a pipe burst. It could be any number of different things. You had an incident where first responders were called on site. Your role is now become definitely involved in those types of situations too. But there's also things like this. So take a look at this picture right here, okay? These pictures. This is a few examples of how quickly things can go south. So one of these includes a hospital in Arizona where a sprinkler pipe burst in their emergency department. Well, they closed for 72 hours. Think about how much money they lost. Think about that in just 72 hours. You know, another example is a hospital that we've actually worked with in Georgia where a 24-inch pipe burst. It was running for 45 minutes. 3 floors flooded. 3. It took out 200 hospital rooms. But what that also caused is they had to actually transfer 150 patients to area hospitals. Think about that. But it also magnified when the governor actually had to declare a state of emergency. So something that is simple as a pipe burst, okay, which we all know that's a mess, in just a short amount of time, 45 minutes, went sideways. And now, I mean, it's just exasperated by it. That type of stuff happens all the time. Well, think about it from the C-suite. A CEO, you know, they're looking at it as how much money do I lose or how much money have I lost? So again, think about how much less damage would have been caused if they would have found that shut off in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. That's the difference between replacing carpet or tile versus replacing walls or shutting down a facility for months or a year. It can go sideways quick. Well, another challenge that facilities managers are running into is they're partly responsible for the building staff and visitor safety. Think about all the new things that you're having to deal with. COVID, okay? So moving people in and out of the building. How far do you space desks apart? Janitorial. There's all kinds of additional stuff that have now been piled onto your plate. Well, this is an example right here of some of that social distancing stuff that you guys have to worry about. Even on an escalator, people standing, 6 feet apart, also putting up plexiglass barriers between folks. You're all involved in all of that, as well as think about all of those new hand sanitizer stations that you had to install. It's a mess. So this is all piled right on top of you, on top of the normal stuff that you were doing. So the other thing is, you must be a leader who can collaborate with internal and external resources. I cannot stress this enough. Internal and external resources. Well, that includes communicating directly with first responders when something goes sideways. External consultants, your architects, your trades that you're pulling in to do different things. Field staff, your guys and gals are running all over your buildings. They're all over the place. Being able to just communicate with them. But also internal leadership, keeping everybody up to date, making you look like a rock star hero to your C-suite is going to do nothing but help you get involved with those big projects that you've got coming up. Also get involved with all the day-to-day maintenance, but it's also going to help you get additional things that you need to better run your facilities. So let's take a look at this other part here. So training is an ongoing task. So think about the day-to-day training that you and your teams do, just the normal stuff. But think about the training of the new people, the new hires. But now you've also got to worry about industry rules and additional regulations that you've got to learn and follow. And those are changing, especially in the COVID era. Well, that's from city, state, federal. You've also got NFPA, OSHA, and CDC. This is just a never-ending challenge because it's a moving target right now. But you have to be on top of it so you know what's going on in your local areas. But one of the things that we're also hearing in the field, and I hear this over and over again, is building information is stored in messy closets and plan rooms. So think about this. Ask yourself, do you have one of these photos? Well, most people do. I travel all over the country and do implementations with our clients, and I see this every day, okay? We take all of that information, and it should be all organized, okay? So think about that. Do you have one of these? If you do, ask yourself why. There's a better way. I'm going to show you what that looks like here in a little while. But how do you find any information in there? Look at that cubby in the bottom or the top left photo there. Look at all those rolls of plans shoved into those little cubbies there. Look at all those hanging files from those stick files. Look at those boxes on the right. Okay, you've got boxes with just plans crammed into those. How do you find anything? Well, you rely on a handful of folks, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. So what we're also hearing in the field is, social distancing is a challenge. Healthy airflow, directing people throughout your building. That's the new normal today. We wouldn't have said that 6 months ago, a year ago. This wasn't a high priority. Well, today it is. And I don't see this going away anytime soon. Another thing that we're also doing is you're charged with doing more with less. So think about how many people on your team have been furloughed. Think about how many of your people have retired, offered early retirement. So you've got the two guys on the left here that are about to retire in the next 6 months, year. Think about how many people on your team are in that particular position. Well, now they've got to also train the lady on the right there. Okay, she's new. She's coming in. So you've got all this challenge of doing more with less. So again, maximizing budgets can help you make important decisions. Look at that picture. Now you've got 3 people on the left that are not on your team. Those are the guys and gals on your team who have been with you for 20 years, 30 years. Those people know where everything is in your building. Think about that. If Carl, who's been with you for 32 years, gives his notice today, I can't really say what's going to go through your head because I would curse, here, but it's the oh crap moment. Think about that. How many times have you got caught in a bind because Carl gave his notice and you weren't prepared? What is your plan? What are you going to do when that happens? Okay, you're doing more with less. Think about that. But also, what's slowing you down? Well, I love this image. Okay, facilities manager, someone who solves a problem you didn't know you had in a way you don't understand. Wizard, see also wizard and magician. You're hitting the ground running from the time you get in the door, and oftentimes your phone's ringing off the hook before you even get there. How many times is your phone ringing? When you're on your drive in, you stop by, Dunkin' Donuts to grab a cup of coffee, and your phone's already rang 4 times. That's what we're talking about here. This slows you down. It slows your team down. You guys are constantly going. You're constantly doing PMs on your building. You're constantly doing little fixes because you're getting 15 calls because it's a hot day someplace and the air conditioning is down. So you're getting 15, 20 calls from all over the place. You guys are running around like crazy. Well, your team is bouncing all over your building and they're coming back and forth. How many times are they going up on the ladder to get up on the roof? How many times are they going into where the cooling towers are? They're running all over the place. There's a better way. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. So again, another thing that people, when I touched on this earlier, is relying on paper documents and shared drives. I love this image. And the reason I love this image is this is the pile of stuff that I see all the time. You've got drawings, rolls of drawings that you saw were shoved into those different cubbies. You've got binders that are stacked in, on top of each other, on top of your file cabinets. You've got them, in drawers. You've got them all over the place. But then you've also got CDs and thumb drives. CDs are, most of the time, they're tucked into a binder pocket, or that thumb drive. Is it on Bob's desk? Did it fall in the trash can? Did it got thrown out? Oftentimes, when you've got digital information, it's equally as hard to find as it is a roll of plans. Let me explain that. How many times do you go to your share drive, or you go to your wherever you've got your stuff stored for your digital files, and you open up a folder and it's empty because somebody deleted it by accident? Okay, now you're going back to your architect, you're going back to your engineering firm and saying, hey, can I get another copy of that? Most of the time, that's not free. They charge you for that. So the other thing that is, I cannot stress this enough, a CD is a static document. You're not changing the information that's on that CD or that thumb drive. It's a static snapshot in time. Okay, so if you can't even find it, now you can't edit it, what good is it? It's a problem. It's equally as important to get all that digital stuff and all that paper stuff, all of it in one spot. And I'll talk about that again in just a few minutes. So the other thing that's slowing people down is they're counting on shared knowledge and memory to tackle everyday repairs, updates, maintenance, and emergency planning, and more. Okay, ask yourself, how many of your teammates, your team members that are in the field are the ones that know where everything is? They know where the bodies are buried. Okay, it's a handful. What are you going to do when they're gone? What's your plan? What's your move forward plan? That's a huge problem. So doesn't it make more sense to capture that institutional knowledge before they walk? They're going to walk in 3 months. They're going to walk in 6 months. They're going to walk in a year, 2 years. That's 30 plus years, 20 plus years of knowledge of your building that is in somebody's head. Well, ask yourself this. Why shouldn't the person who just started last week have access to that same information? It's possible. And I'll show you how that can happen here in a few minutes. But again, all the information is in that 1 or 2 or 3 people's heads. That's a problem. That's a gap in process. But that's the way everybody has done it for years. They rely on those folks. I got news for you. If Carl wins the lottery, Carl's not coming to work tomorrow. Okay? That's just a reality. Or if God forbid something happens to Carl, he can't come in for a week. Where does that leave you and your teams? They can't just pick up the phone and call Carl. Carl's going to go on vacation. Carl's probably going to turn his cell phone off. Now what? You're going to get caught like that in positions like that. Don't let that happen. There's again, an easier way. So other areas that you'd like to improve, and I hear this all the time, is you want to work faster, more efficiently. You want to get more out of your folks. You're now dealing with a smaller team. You're also dealing with, folks who are remote. Well, you're again doing more with less. So how do you do that? How do you close some of those gaps where you're seeing time lost? People walking from one end of the building to the other end of the building, going up to the 5th floor. Then they've got to go back to the plan room. Then they've got to call Carl. Then something happened. Their phone rang. Somebody called and said there's a pipe burst. So you got to run over there. You're running all over the place. The challenge is they're not carrying that plan room with them today. Okay. A lot of folks I've heard try to say, my CMMS does this. My CMMS does this. Well, if your CMMS did it, why do you still have a plan room? Ask yourself that. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Well, also, how does that help you handle emergencies? You got stuff going on all the time. And an emergency, think about that. An emergency may be small. It could be, you've got a small water leak or something like that. But now you're spending 2 hours trying to find the shutoff. Well, that water's that's not going to stop running while you're looking for a shutoff. Okay. Or were you trying to call Carl? It's still going. So again, remember, something that starts small can turn into a huge problem in no time at all. But also think about all your new cleaning custodial, all your air filter changes, all the additional stuff that you're now doing that you didn't have to do 6 months, a year ago, because of what's going on today. Everybody's in the same boat here, folks. Everybody. The challenge is we need to lean on each other and get those best practices and share those best practices. And again, I'll show you some ways that you can do that here in just a few minutes. But you also have to have a clear process and protocols for when someone is exposed to COVID-19. I can't tell you how many places I've gone on site and I've met with facilities folks and they were like, yeah, one of my guys actually just got it, or he tested positive. So we're doing a 14-day quarantine and they're running it through their head. I can see it. The wheels are turning. That how many of my guys and gals were exposed? Where did they go? So they're digging through their work orders. They're digging through all this stuff. What's the plan to figure out who they came in contact with? And then what do? It snowballs. So you have to have clear protocols so that everybody knows. That's part of your training as well. But again, that's a moving target. Everybody's in the same boat though. So what are some solutions? So one of the biggest solutions that I cannot stress this enough is instant mobile access to critical building information. Let me say that again, instant access. If you can't pull your phone out of your pocket and access it, what good is it? Okay, if it's in a plan room, you climbed up on that roof and you were checking out something, and then you had to run back down to the plan room. So you're off that 30-foot ladder that's hanging off the side of the building. Okay, how many times are you doing that? I did it yesterday 4 times myself, working with somebody, shadowing a guy to figure out, hey, how many times are you doing something and how inefficient or efficient is something? We went up and down, it was 4 times, I believe. Okay, trying to remember, it was a little hot. but again, that happens all the time. Well, now multiply that by you've got 50 people, 20 people, 100 people, however many people you've got on staff, multiply that. That's lost time savings for every person that you're in that's on your team. So instant access is critical. Capturing the knowledge of those retired folks before they walk out that door. That is a huge problem everywhere. But also faster training of new employees. Everybody who's new should walk in the door and be able to access where every shutoff is in your building. If they can't, ask yourself, why not? Why not? It's a problem. So speeding up that training process is critical to getting your team up to speed faster. So say it's a year training process on average. What if you could cut that down to 6 months? What if you could cut that down to a few months? Now everybody's accessing the same stuff. The guy or gal who's been on your team for 30 years can access the same information as anybody else on your team, the 6-month person, the year person, whatever. Everybody should be accessing the same stuff. But also a huge key here is identifying technology tools that streamline operations and increase efficiency. That's what we're talking about here. Get more done every day from your team. Get more done. That's work orders. That's PMs. Get more out of your folks. And now it's a reduced staff. Get more out of those folks every day. That's what we're talking about. Get more out of your team every day. Make it more efficient. So other benefits of going digital with building information is it takes that paper plan room that I showed you, all those pictures, and I bet you every person on this call has that plan room. Or maybe it's not a plan room. Maybe that pile is behind your desk in a box. Maybe that's in the closet next door. Everybody's got that kind of a plan room. Well, it should be the one on the right. Digital. Everybody should be able to pull their phone out of their pocket. I do a lot of webinars. I do a lot of in-person, not lately, presentations in front of IFMA and NFMT and other orgs where I'm standing up there and there's 200 people in the audience and I'll ask everybody to raise their hand and say, who's got a smartphone? Everybody in that room raises their hand. And then I ask the next question. Keep your hand in the air if you can access all of your blueprints for your building, all of your project manuals, all of the information for your building on your phone. And every single person in that audience puts their hand down. And I ask them, why the hell not? Think about that. Every person on your team has a smartphone. All of them do. And if they don't, get them one. So they climb up on that roof. They climb up on that ladder. They go into that mechanical room and they're back behind the air handler and they're trying to find something. Pull your phone out of your pocket and access whatever information you need, whether that's electrical drawings, whether that's your mechanical, whatever it is, on that phone that's in that pan to your right. Every person should be able to do that. And if they can't, you need to do it. Okay. Enable technicians to be more efficient. They're not running around all over the place. We touched on that a minute ago. But also prevent simple accidents from becoming catastrophes. So again, let's define catastrophe here. Put a number on it in your head. What's the dollar amount that you consider something being a catastrophe? 10 grand? 100 grand? A million? Multiple millions. I've seen across the spectrum, and it really depends on you. But think about how much less damage would be done if you guys could find that shutoff, pull your phone out of your pocket, click on a shutoff button, click on a floor, and be able to find that shutoff in a couple of seconds. Think about that. Seconds versus hours versus days of just cleanup and mess, months and thousands of dollars. You're talking from hundreds because I've got to replace a few floor tiles, or millions where I've got to shut down for how long just to fix something that I should have been able to find in a couple of seconds. That's what we're talking about here. And it doesn't take long to become a catastrophe. Also, sharing that information out with first responders, being able to send a text message to a first responder so that they can access all of the information. Where are all your shutoffs in the building? Where are your egresses? All of that information should be able to be shared out with first responders too. So when they roll up to your building, they're not blind. My dad's a first responder. He's been one for 48 years. Okay, when they roll up to your building, they are blind. They don't know your building. They don't know where a hallway is, where a door is. They don't know anything about your building. But imagine now you put a floor plan in that person's hand and they need to get access to a certain area. You've got a fire in the building, or you've got a pipe burst in your building and someone called 911, whatever, okay? Something's going sideways in your building. Doesn't it make sense to get it in the hands of first responders so they can react just as fast as your team? It's possible. but also instant access to information from anywhere, anytime via mobile devices. Doesn't matter what phone. If you're working with somebody and they're telling you, oh, we've got this fantastic solution, but they tell you you can't access it on a phone, red flag. Second is, I can't access it from any phone. So not just iPhones, Android or a desktop or any browser. That's a problem. That's a big problem. You should be able to access it from wherever you are on any device, anytime, today, right now. So building information, again, let's go back here. Look at these pictures again. So building information is stored in messy plan rooms or closets, but how do you find anything in there? You know, where are the most recent drawings for room 1402? Which cubby is it in? Which stick file is it? Which box is it in? How do you find anything? Okay, you call Carl because Carl knows what bin it's in, or, oh, Carl just knows. He's not even going to go in the plan room, but now Carl's gone. Now what? But also, how do you handle social distancing requirements when this is your room? You can't fit two people in there. You can't. They're not 6 feet apart. So again, there's a compounded problem here. And that's what I'm going to show you how you can deal with this. So let's jump in here, and I'm actually going to show you a demo here of how that should look and how you need to look at this moving forward. So what we're talking about here, again, remember I said, you know, who's got a smartphone? Everybody's got a smartphone. So what we're talking about is an efficiency tool for technicians, your field techs, to complete more work orders, get more done. Also, risk mitigation, prevent accidents from becoming catastrophes. And we're also talking about capturing that legacy knowledge of your folks before they gave their notice and they walked out that door. And again, we're not talking about a CMMS here. You know, we're not like a CMMS or any other tools. We don't fit in those standard categories. Nobody has addressed the problem of building plans and documentations until today. Today. How do you access all of that information? Well, the fact that you have a plan room filled with all that paper, you know, is evidence that this problem still exists. That's not your CMMS is fixing that. There hasn't been anybody that fixed that until now. Okay? We're putting a plan room in your pocket where you have instant access to your information on the go. That's what we're talking about here. I pull my phone out of my pocket, I click on the app, and it launches this. So what you see here is a few campuses here at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and click on Valley Medical here, okay? And it launches Valley Medical, so you've got these different modules here. So buildings, equipment, emergency, and compliance. I'm going to focus on the top three for this demo, but let's click on our buildings for Valley Medical, and this is a hospital. Comes to a campus map, and I want to look at information for building 4. So I click on it, and you can see I've got my as-built list view, as-built map view, shutoffs, and equipment maps. I'm going to go through each one of these and show you how important it is for your folks to have access to this on their phone. You're seeing my iPad right now. Okay, this looks exactly the same on a phone, any phone. So let's click on our as-built list view. So think about all the drawings that were in that plan room. Okay, all of those rolls of drawings. Now they're neatly organized by date and what the actual drawing set was. So think about it here. You've got in the top one here is a basic floor plans, interior details from 2017. So let me click on that. And now it opens up to the cover sheet. Okay, and you've got your index here, and I've got a few of the sheets linked. Click on a sheet, and it takes you directly to that sheet. And then every detail is also linked. Click on it, it goes straight to the detail. So think about that. I was able to just drill down into a set of plans to the detail in how many clicks? A couple of seconds? It's that fast. If you can't do that, think about all the hours that folks are wasting in that plan room trying to do what I just did in just a couple of seconds. Remember, we're talking about efficiency here. Think about how much time that just saved Bob on your team, or Betty on your team, or Carl on your team. Everybody should be able to do this. Well, here's the other challenge though. This list right here doesn't tell me what drawings touch what part of my building. I haven't got a clue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Carl, because Carl knows. Oh, that was the one from 2017. No, 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 no. There's a better way. Let me show you what that looks like. Let's click on our as-built map view. Let's click on our first floor. So remember that room I said, you know, which drawings touch 1402, room 1402 earlier? Well, I haven't got a clue. Well, here's room 1402 right here, okay? What our system and our teams do is map out where every drawing set in that list that I just showed you touched in your building floor to floor. Let me repeat that. It maps out every drawing set and shows you where it touched floor to floor in your building. That fast. I just drilled down. And now I can see, well, here's a drawing set from 2000 that touched that room 1402. Let me click on it. There's the drawing set. Takes me to the index. There it is. That's how fast I was able to figure out what was the most recent set that touched that part of the building, and I just drilled down. That fast. We're talking seconds here. That's what you can do. Well, now let's talk about the scenario of shutoffs. So remember those pipe burst images that I showed you. Remember those stories that I shared with you earlier. Something that should take a few seconds, a few minutes to shut off, took hours. Took 45 minutes at that one, and it caused the governor to file declare an emergency, a state emergency. Think about that. How fast? 45 minutes. And it went from 0 to 100 miles an hour. That's what we're talking about here. Well, now imagine I click on the shutoff button, go to the first floor here, and every shutoff in the building is now mapped out. Gas, water, electric, every panel, okay? So I want to see where a particular med gas is. Well, let's click on that. Here's the med gas panel and photos of the med gas, okay? That fast. I can see exactly what type of gas is in there. But now I've got a backflow over here, okay? Same thing. Everything is here. Everything is mapped out. So everything is mapped out by our people and your people. We're doing a site walk. We're capturing every electrical panel, every water shutoff, every backflow, every gas shutoff in the entire building floor to floor, interior and exterior, everything. And now your team can all access where that is. So think about that pipe burst in that hospital or those two hospitals. Now I've got it on my phone in a couple of seconds, and I know exactly where that shutoff is. Well, I'm Carl. I've been with you for 30 years. Well, Betty's on site. Betty knows exactly where it is too. She's seeing the same thing I'm seeing. Think about that. Something that could have taken, well, traditionally today will take, you know, hours, minutes to figure out. I now found it in a couple of seconds. Think about how much less that now costs me. Let's go back here. Now we're going to talk about equipment. So think about how many times you're climbing up on a roof or you're digging through a mechanical room trying to find a particular piece of equipment because something's going sideways. Well, what our team also does is maps out all of the equipment in the building. Actually, I'm going to show you the roof plan here. Okay. Map out every location of every piece of equipment. I'm going to hit this little drop down in the upper left here, and I can see I've got 15 exhaust fans. Okay. 15. But now I see all these other things too. So let's hide all and just show the exhaust fans. There they are. So I can click on any exhaust fan and drill down here, and I've got an equipment record tied to that. So I can see maintenance inspection forms. Okay, I can see linked files. This could be O&Ms. This could be warranty information. This could be all of the information associated with that particular device. That one. Not all the rest of them. That one. Okay. Then you've also got useful links. You've got parts. So here's a sensor. Here's a tap. But you've got all of this information. But I also want to back out here. There's another way that you can find information. Okay. Let's go to our equipment button here. And I can search for particular equipment. So say I want to search for exhaust fan. Let's do exhaust fan. And I'm looking for number 4. So let me just search for exhaust fan. Oh, here it is. Exhaust fan right there. Number 4. Let's click on that. So I walk up to a device and I've got a QR code, which we attach to each device. So you walk up there, you swipe across it with your phone camera, and boom, it pops up all the information for that exhaust fan. But I don't know, I'm in the office, so I don't, or I'm across the, on the third floor and I got to go to the roof. Well, you saw there were 15 exhaust fans on that roof. Well, which one's number 4? I haven't got a clue. So what do? I go up there and right now I probably go around and I look at each tag and try and figure out which one number 4 is. Well, imagine this. Let's click on our location button here. There's a little map here. Watch that. There it is. I can zoom out. Exhaust fan number 4 is over there. So think about the person, not Carl, who's been with you for 20, 30 years. Think about, Jessica, who just started 6 months ago. Jessica doesn't know where number 4 is. Now she does. That fast. Jessica can pull it up, can find exactly where it is. And now I've even got it on a map, so I don't have to spend 20 minutes walking around each one of those exhaust fans trying to figure out which one is number 4. That's what we're talking about. Fast. But Jessica is only 6 months on the job. But Jessica can now find the same stuff that Carl can. Fast, instant access to that information. So now let's go back here. And I'm going to click on emergency here. And imagine all of your emergency information all in one spot too. Let's drill down to building 4. Every part of your emergency information, so your emergency plan, shutoffs, which I showed you a minute ago, emergency equipment, utilities, life safety, safe refuge, floor plans, all of this information is now in one spot. So think about when you guys are doing your walk and you're trying to figure out where all of let's shut these off here and let's try and find where all the exits are. Well, you can see I've got 8 in here. Now you're going to have hundreds of them, but here's all of my exit signs. Or if I want to also add in here, well, let's also look and see where all of the fire alarm panels are. Okay, now there's a fire alarm panels that just shut up too. Click on any of them, there they are. So again, instant access to not only traditional capital equipment like HVAC systems, but also all of my emergency information, fire extinguishers, everything associated with my building is now in one spot. SDS sheets, where are those located? Asbestos, if I've had asbestos in the building, where is that? Life safety drawings, so that could be my fire protection drawings. All of that information's in one spot. Everybody should have access to this. Everybody on your team, so that now you can react faster. You know where everything is. There are thousands of use cases that you're going to think of how this will work for you. But at the end of the day, it all starts with getting that plan room that you got and getting it digital, getting it into the system that you know that you're going to have instant access to all of that information wherever you are. Your techs are not sitting at a desk. They're in the field, okay? So this, again, provides instant access to all of that information on the go. So we're going to go back here and let's open it up for some questions.
Great. Thank you for that informative presentation, David. As you mentioned, we're going to start our question and answer session now. So attendees, if you haven't done so already, please submit your questions by clicking the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen. Our first question is, I have 4 guys scheduled to retire in the next 6 months to a year. How do you recommend we start?
Get in front of this before they leave. I cannot stress that enough. These folks, when they're gone, they're gone. I've even heard from folks that said, hey, my boss reached out to me and offered to give me a consultant gig just so I'll answer my phone after I leave. I mean, you've got to get in front of this. So if someone gives their notice and that's the person who knows where everything is, you need to get in front of this, get it digital, map all that stuff out so that everybody on the team knows where it is. I was on site at a community college this week, okay? They went from a team of having 6 in 2 buildings to 2, okay? The folks who left are the most tenured folks. They offered them early retirement. They offer them early retirement. They're traditionally not giving you 3 months notice, 6 months notice. It's 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, maybe. Get in front of this, map that information out, and our tool actually makes it so simple for you to be able to do that. But our team does that site walk and maps it out, pins all those locations, so now you've got access to it.
Great. The next viewer is also in a pinch. They say, we have offered early retirement and furloughed several employees already, including some who knew the most about your buildings. How do we capture the knowledge when it's already gone?
That's the problem. That's what I was, I'm seeing the theme here. People are leaving, people are retiring. That's the challenge. Get in front of this ahead of time. But to address that with those folks that have already left, this is something where we do that site walk. We try to capture that information with the people who are around. So a lot of times it's a consolidation of, Bob knew where everything was, but Jennifer and Tom also know where most of that stuff is. So we'll walk with Jennifer and Tom. So again, there's a lot of folks. So you've got information kind of in these silos of people's heads all over the place. That's why it's important to capture that before they leave. But if you can't, a lot of times it's easy to also consolidate that information from other folks that also know where it is.
Great. What is the best way for us to get our paper documents digitized?
Work with an org that actually knows what the heck they're doing. Don't go to Kinko's. Kinko's is not an expert at construction documents. It's a joke. And they don't know what they're looking at, let alone what they're scanning. It's a mess. We have over 160 locations in the US. That's brick and mortar. We've been printing construction documents and facilities documents for years and years, decades. And the challenge that everybody runs into is they tend to try to do it in-house, or they try to do it at Kinko's. So the quality is terrible. You can't read it, and especially when Kinko's is trying to scan something that is, 80 years old, that's frayed. You saw some of those pictures in that photo I showed right here. Okay. Look at that one. Those are shredded. Kinko's doesn't know how to fix those. All right. It's a train wreck. All right. So again, accessing all of that information should be easy, but if you can't read it when they scan it, that's a problem. But our system actually has patented software that OCRs, reads the text on those individual documents, reads the plans, scans that, can make it intelligent. So now you can search for that information all on your phone.
Excellent. Here's a question that I think a lot of folks can relate to. Thinking of the current situation, we store all of our preparedness information digitally on a company's server, but now that most of us are working from home, we can't easily access this information or share it. What is your strategy to help make this process more efficient?
If you can't access it remotely, what good is it? I cannot stress that enough. If you can't access it from your phone into your servers at work, what good is it? You're at home. That's the new normal. I hate that term, the new normal, but unfortunately that's where we're at. So if you can't access it from home or from your phone, what good is it? Your information is only as good as you can access it. Our information is actually stored in the cloud. You can access from any device, anywhere. And it's also secure. So you control who can do and see what. But again, if you can't access it from the field, what good is it? What if your share drive goes down? It happens all the time. I mean, gosh, I hear this story all the time. I was actually on site, like I said, this week with the community college, and their servers went down. They have one IT guy on site, one, the entire campus. He's scrambling, trying to figure out how to get everything back up. But that means he couldn't access any of his drawings. He couldn't access any of it. We're in process of implementing there today. Now we won't ever have that problem again.
This next viewer wants to know how long it takes for ARC facilities to scan all their building information, and whether you take it off site or if you could do it while you're actually in the building.
Yeah, the answer is we've done both. We've scanned on site, but we typically back a truck up and load everything up. We barcode everything as we take it. We give you that list, so you always will have access to it even when we take it off site. But again, you don't have to deal with any of that. We do it all. We back that truck up. We load it all up. We organize all that information. Get rid of those, those duplicates where you've got all that stuff all over the place. Those piles of paper. It's gone. Okay, and now it's going to be returned to you organized, accessible on your phone. Timelines depends on how many you've got. You know, are you talking about 4 rooms of stuff, or are you talking about a closet? But it's very fast. Our team is efficient, and they're machines when they start running through this stuff. But we're experts at looking at that information, reading that information, and knowing what it is we're looking at. We're not Kinkos, okay? We are professionals that know what the heck we're looking at when it comes to these construction and facilities documents.
If I have some 3D building information, can I also have a 3D view on my phone to find information as well, like how you have the list in the map view?
Yeah, potentially we can link out to a particular document subset if it's linked someplace in particular. That's the easiest way, because those 3D files tend to be huge, and you're not traditionally going to be opening up a 3D image on your phone. We're talking about the construction or the facilities documentation, being able to load those PDFs on your phone and accessing that. A 3D model on your phone tends to take quite a bit to load. So it tends to be even more time consuming.
Makes sense. You talked about sharing information with first responders. What is the best approach to working with first responders in sharing information about our facility before an emergency happens, you know, before they get on site?
Certainly. Yeah, and that's a great question, because at the end of the day, think about when you're dealing with a first responder. So who are you giving it to? Is it city? Is it county? Is it state? Is it all the above? But here's the other challenge with first responders. Which first responder rolled up to your building? Which shift was it? So you got to really, what I recommend is, what you can do is work directly with leadership at those individual municipal agencies and figure out that best process. What I've seen is some have even supplied this directly to the 911 operators, or they can even supply it directly to the captain or the sergeant or whatever, that leadership. But then they also have an access portal where people can access it using the same login credentials to be able to access that information. But you can also you get that phone call that, hey, first responders are on scene. What's the cell phone of Bob firefighter, or Bob the policeman who's sitting right in front of your building? Let me pull it up on my phone and text message that drawing to him, or circle it on my phone and text message that, so he's standing in front of my building and it pulls up on his phone. You can do that. It's that simple.
Great. Well, everyone, thank you for the great questions, and thank you for answering those, David.
Absolutely.
Great job. Before we close out this presentation, though, there are just a few more important pieces of information that we'd like to share. Don't forget that you can find our past courses, including this one, on our website, available for you to view at any time. We have dozens of building-related topics, so visit our on-demand courses today and watch now. Be sure to stay connected to buildings by visiting us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And as a reminder, a copy of today's presentation slides are available by clicking on the Resources tab on the courses page on our website. Thanks again to our partner, ARC Facilities. And thank you again to today's speaker and to all of you for joining us today. Please visit the building site where you can view other educational courses offering ideas and solutions for your everyday problems, as well as submit for your continuing education credit. Have a great day, and we'll see you again soon.